Welcome to The World, the podcast where things come full circle. Episodes will be on every full moon because full moons represent things coming full circle. So let's talk about the wall. Why is this podcast titled The Wall? And no, it's not this wall. It doesn't mean a wall. That's not what this podcast means. If you've already clocked it, because I talked about things coming full circle and full moons, wall means moon. And which language is wall? Wall is Korean for moon. And I had actually drafted this podcast as The Circle. However, when I was out one evening in August going for a concert, I saw an establishment called The Circle. And that's when I decided to get a new name because of, trademark claims, etc. Then I thought, if my podcast is about things coming full circle and new episodes are on a full moon, why not Wall? The Wall. So it was decided. If this is your first time interacting with this side of me, then you probably don't know I have another podcast titled Triangulated, where we talked about the shape of everything. I did that podcast during the pandemic period as one of my many acts of rebellion and breaking free from horrible and horrendous family structures. I recommend every woman to be rebellious and break free. You can find that podcast on Spotify, WordPress, and many other platforms, including Twitter. You won't find it on YouTube, though. For this podcast, I do intend on transcribing it every episode and deciding where I will post the transcript of each episode. I may post it on WordPress, but I may not. I'm not feeling thrilled about posting it on WordPress because I don't feel like creating a whole WordPress account just for this podcast, yada yada yada. But for Triangulated, the WordPress actually helped me reach so many people because up to date I still get notifications on Triangulated and I haven't posted. I think that I posted the last episode in 2022, the same year I finished it. I don't think I posted in 2023. So still, like 2 years later, I still get notifications, people interacting with that podcast. So today is the full moon in Pisces. That started at 5:34 a.m. And it's also a lunar eclipse, which started at 5:45 a.m. So in about 7 hours from 5:34 a.m., the moon is going to move into Aries. Pisces is a water sign, so that's emotional and dreams and stuff like that, your feelings and everything. And Aries is a fire sign. So now you see, from water to fire, and fire is about moving forward, burning things. I don't know if you want to burn bridges, burn the correct ones, burn the ones that deserve getting burned. And it is also about leadership and drive. So I hope that fire drives you to serving your highest good, because that's going to be like at 12:24 p.m. That's going to be after this podcast. No, that's going to be before this podcast comes live. Before you'll be listening to this podcast once the moon has already moved into Aries, which is so interesting because I actually dreamt about going for a concert on Ngong Road. I don't even go for concerts. I don't ever go for concerts. But because I dreamt about it, I woke up and I was like, I need to go for a concert. And I wrote this dream down. I opened Instagram and the first thing I see, the literal first thing I see, my friend had posted on her stories, Charisma has announced the dates for his concert. And I was like, I'm going for that concert. So I click and I'm going to pay. And then I see it on Ngong Road. I'm like, I dreamt that I dreamt that I want to go for a concert on Ngong Road. And that's how I went for the concert. And I bought the ticket. It was announced about the ticket. I wanted to know what the dream was about. And yesterday, the 17th of September, what came full circle was this podcast. Now, why is this device saying that it wants to die? What came full circle was this podcast, the title of this podcast. I was drafting this podcast, the transcript and everything, and I was like, wait, I finally know what that dream was about. Because when I was on Ngong Road, have I said this already? When I was on Ngong Road, I saw this establishment in The Circle, and I was like, no, I'm going to name this podcast The Wall. So let me start by sharing the things that have come full circle for me, and I hope this leads you, the listener, to some introspection. So the first thing that came full circle for me was friendships being fake or not. I have such awful and shocking friendship experiences this year. From being stalked, to being ditched for a man, to my phone almost getting stolen, to evil eye encounters. It has been one crazy year on the friendship front. And it's not the only time that I've had crazy experiences with friendships. It's just that this year I've been noticing and I've been making steps. I wrote down steps for personal development this year so that I can be a better person for myself. So how I used to cope with everything that happened in friendships this year, how I used to console myself and get through that, was say, at least it's not a man who is dogging me out, which if we're being for real, at least it wasn't a man. Because imagine a man ditching me for a man. My phone almost getting stolen because of a man. Me being stalked by a man evil eyeing me, and I'm just there, my man, and he's doing those things to me. Horrible. I know my ancestors would call me to higher glory before I even sat down to let a man, even stand, whether I stood or sat down to let a man do those things to me. My ancestors would call me to higher glory and tell me, go be reborn and restart and don't make the same mistakes. Do better. Now, the reason those things happened to me in friendship was because I have been big on being there for my fellow women and fostering loving communities amongst women. You know, that whole girls thing. But now, I don't. I'm extremely selective about the women I stand for. Extremely selective. Not all women, nope, no way. Especially the women who have their whole fiber wrapped around a man and meshed on a man. Are you crazy? Like, there's a reason why we're choosing the bear. Goldilocks chose the bear. When Goldilocks got lost in the woods, she did not go into a man's house. Goldilocks walked into the house of a family of bears. Well, the bears weren't in there, but Goldilocks got in there, drank porridge, broke the baby's chair, jumped on everybody's bed to test out which bed is the most comfortable, all that type of stuff, but not in a man's house. And she was in the woods, which means there must have been a huntsman who lived in the woods. There must have been a lumberjack who lived in the woods. But Goldilocks not going to any of those houses. We're not told about Goldilocks going to a man's house. And you see, that's also why we choose the bear than the man. Because honestly, even if a bear ripped me apart in the woods, I would be long gone before I could register that pain. I would be long gone. Because, you know, a bear is not coming to like scratch your face and stuff. If a bear decides to attack you, even if you've not provoked the bear and the bear is hungry, you do know, in case you don't know, the bear is actually going to go for the soft spots. So the bear would highly rip out my liver. I would be long gone before I can register anything that's happening. The bear would just go for soft organ meats. But a man finds me in the woods, nobody to question him, nobody to pay audience, no witnesses, nothing. That chariot of fire that carried Elijah or Elisha, I hope it comes for me. I would hope it comes for me. Even Little Red Riding Hood, she spoke to a wolf. And when I was a kid, I was like, Red, why would you speak to a wolf? Your grandmother told you don't speak to strangers. Is a wolf not strange? Is a talking wolf not strange? Anyway, moving on to the next one, which was my relationship with therapy, which also showed me my relationship with myself, including with my friendship with myself. You know, it's not a lie when they say that people go to therapy because those who should don't. I had been in therapy since God knows when, until last year in November or October. I actually walked out of therapy because the therapist was spewing a lot of chalkboard noise. One of the things the therapist told me was when I opened up about having ADHD and I opened up about being abused and everything, the therapist said, your ADHD is just a coping mechanism. What? ADHD is a coping mechanism? Crazy. And that I deserve to be abused. Now, that was crazier. That was crazier. Telling me my ADHD is a coping mechanism is crazy, but telling me I deserve to be abused was crazier. Then she gave me a test to do. She gave me a test to do and did not like how I scored, so she refused to show me the results or to even give me my records. When I quit therapy, I was like, please may I have my records. She refused to give me my records, by the way. She refused to give me my records. Long story. So I called Turkey Quit Therapy and decided I shan't be going back until I find a very specialized therapy. Because I actually went to therapy last year, got this new therapist for particular reasons. And I was like, it's time for me to finally speak about this thing. And this therapist didn't want to speak about it. So I was like, oh, maybe they think they're not qualified enough. But we were therapists, by the way. However, I probably won't be going back to therapy because I came to realize that I was convinced I am the problem when I never, ever, even for a second was. That even the times that I fought for myself and I was demonized, it was because a deep part of me knew that I deserved to stand up for myself, even if nobody was and nobody ever did. It's like in Women Who Run with the Wolves, when women actually find that part of themselves, that their psyche, that inner dark part of them that knows this is wrong. This is wrong. When you realize you're dealing with Bluebeard and you say, you know what? I'm out. I'm out of here. I'm not staying here anymore. It's when that key of yours just starts bleeding and will never stop bleeding. So if you're in therapy, why are you there, by the way? Why are you there? And do you know your rights as a client in therapy? And by the way, I'm a psychologist, so I could tell that the therapist was being highly unprofessional. So when I quit therapy, I changed my whole environment and so many things about myself. So many things. In Korean dramas, there's a phrase I always hear, that if you suddenly change yourself, you will die. I guess I know which part of me died. Because, I thought about that phrase and I was changing so many things about myself. And I was like, if I die, I die, but at least I'll die with my dignity. At least I'll die happy. But now I know what died. I guess I know what died. I guess I know who died. Because so many people have been looking for what died. From me, have been looking for who died. She's not here anymore. Like Ella I's song, New Me. Ella ain't here, it's a new me. She's not here, it's a new me. And you don't know me. The third thing that came full circle, and funny enough, even this week of the full moon in Pisces, of this eclipse, this has come full circle. Family relations that I cut off, coming around and seeing that I was always right. My several acts of rebellion have been successful. So successful, my hair has grown healthy. You can't see my hair, but my hair has grown healthier, and my dental structure has changed for the better. Literally, I was looking at my old photos and I was like, oh my God, my teeth have changed. My dental structure has changed. Literally. Stress and oppression, amongst other facets of abuse, can and will make you ugly. The first part of you to die when you're under tremendous stress, when you're not at peace, is your beauty. Literally, it's your beauty, because your body views that as a non-essential, and your body needs to survive. So the non-essentials have to die. You don't need to be beautiful to survive. According to your body, in evolution, you do need to be beautiful to survive. Pretty privilege really is a thing. It is a thing. If you don't believe that pretty privilege exists, okay. But pretty privilege really is a thing. And it also has its own downsides, but we're not going to talk about that in this episode. So anyway, I cut off family members and stopped contending with anyone's nonsense in the name of family. I actually revoked people's titles. I did revoke people's titles. Think about family members with titles in your life. I revoked people's titles. I took cousin once removed another level, mother once removed another level, father once removed another level. I have revoked people's titles. Like, you see, cousin once removed does not mean that the cousin was removed from the family and stuff. I've removed people from my life. I've taken out people's titles. I started speaking up and telling people what it is and what it isn't. I blocked people. I stopped responding to messages and picking up calls. However, people would still look for me through others. I would hear apologies from third and fourth parties, but never directly from the horse's mouth. Well, the horse has been blocked, so it's not going to happen. I have had some of them speak and heard the regret in their voices. But Michelle is dead and gone. She's dead and gone. You can't find her. You can't find her. Maybe build a time machine and go find her in the past. You know, if a Leo has ever loved you, you know how good that is. Whether in friendship, family, or romance. So when they give up because you have done too much for them to look past, they leave. They take the sunlight and sunshine away, and you feel it, and you never forget it. That's how everyone is now since I walked out of their life. So this doesn't mean if you're any other zodiac, your absence is insignificant. Choose yourself. You don't have to be a Leo to choose yourself. You do not have to be a Leo to choose yourself. The fourth thing that came full circle was my personal values. Like earlier mentioned, I'm selective about the women I stand for. That's what I'm going to mention on that fourth part. We're going to go to the fifth part, which is the last part. I had a quarterly plan. I wrote down in January a quarterly plan. It was either on the Human Design New Year or the Chinese New Year. Either on January 11th or January 21st, I wrote this down because I was like, New Year, new me. If you just wait for 1st of January to celebrate your New Year, not me. My New Year is 1st of January, 11th of January, 21st of January, like the New Year, worldwide New Year, which is 1st of January, the Human Design New Year, which is the 11th of January, 21st of January, which is the Chinese New Year, Chinese Lunar Year, New Year, and then also depending on leap years and stuff, 20th or 21st of March, which is the astrological New Year, and my birthday. And I actually have 3 birthdays. So I celebrate my birthday thrice a year. I have 3 birthdays. Nobody is stopping me from celebrating myself 3 times. I celebrate myself like every year, but I mean like on a birthday level. Every month rather, but on a birthday level. I'm not going to, just because there's a date written on my birth certificate, that's all. No, I have 3 birthdays every year. So in my quarterly plan for quarter 1, I wrote, is watching K-drama and romance a coping mechanism turned escapism? And by the way, this plan for the whole year was called A Year Without Romance. And I named it A Year Without Romance because I was going to stop watching all romantic K-dramas, stop reading all romantic books, stop listening to all romantic songs. What is I going to stop? Anything romance, I was going to stop, aside from one book in case it had romance called The Clockwork Prince, and I finished it, so I'm in book 2, and I'm going to go to book 3. I'm reading that whole book. So I did that. And I felt like it would work in my favor because this whole year Venus is not in retrograde, and Venus is the planet of love and things you love, aesthetics, but we're looking at the love aspect. Venus is not retrograde, so I was like, there's not going to be resistance, there's not going to be backtracking or anything. Perfect year. So guess what I eventually learned from staying away from watching romance K-dramas, romance productions, reading romance and listening to romance songs? That love really is a place, and I can visit any second. I don't need to cling onto a romantic partner to go there. I can take myself there. The same way I can take myself there. In quarter 2, was I love bombing? No, I wasn't love bombing. I'm just a Leo. I was not love bombing. Also, love bombing does not work on me. You know what I'll always be talking about? Like ever since I learned boy, girl, boy, all that stuff, I knew that love bombing does not work on me. I didn't know what love bombing was, but people would be like, oh, if somebody who is interested in you romantically is doing this and doing this and doing this, that's wrong, it's abusive, it's dangerous and stuff. But why wouldn't you give me money? just because I'm beautiful, just because you're attracted to me. Why wouldn't you write me sonnets just because you're attracted to me? Why wouldn't you give me, like, literally, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? So I literally withdraw when the love bomber withdraws. Like, the moment the love starts becoming watery, I withdraw totally. Even in friendships, I withdraw. So as a Leo, I love being worshipped. Also, I have a big name, Michelle. Michelle means who is like God. Don't come before me without offerings. Don't do it. Don't do it. And quarter 3 was about how have I contributed to relationships that never served my highest good. We've already discussed that and our friendships. We've already discussed that. And I kind of thought, do I lack boundaries? I really did ask myself that question, and I'm still asking myself that question now. Do I lack boundaries? I don't think I lack boundaries. I really don't think I lack boundaries. And I'm 27. In astrology, that is the 4th house perfection year. This is a year whose major theme is roots, home, emotions, and one's mother. What's interesting is that the 4th house is ruled by Cancer. Cancer is a water sign, emotions, and all of that. And guess which planet rules Cancer? Yes, the moon. The moon rules Cancer. And for quarter 4, I guess we will cover that in December's full moon. Now, in each quarter, I did 2 things. I would write forgive myself. Actually wrote in my plan, forgive myself, and what is my attachment style. In quarter 1 and through quarter 2, I was in between anxious and avoidant. But strongly avoidant because of how I handle nonsense. I do clean cutoffs. I'm like, the moment you come to me, you will probably not even finish your nonsense. I will have cut you off immediately everywhere. I will go and like all your posts that I liked. I will unlike, I will delete my comments, and I'm thinking about somebody who I recently cut off. I didn't unlike or delete comments or anything. I think I'm going to unblock them and unlike all the posts. Yeah, I'm going to do that because it's a full moon. I'm going to unblock them, unlike all their posts, delete all my comments. Hey, I actually did that. I was following them on Pinterest. I actually unliked all their posts, on all their pins on Pinterest because I'd like them. I unliked them. I actually have not going to unlike them on Instagram unless the account is now private. Oh well. But yeah, delete. I do clean cutoffs. The nonsense begins. We are done. However, I have come to see that I just have boundaries. Oh my God. I was just asking here, do I have a boundary problem? And I'm like, no, I don't have boundary problems. It's because I just have boundaries, strong boundaries. You cannot move my fence. You cannot. And I know that comes off as stubborn and big-headed, but I have a small head, physically. I know how that comes off, but I don't care. So I'm like a Stafford and a sword that can't be pulled out, like King Arthur's sword and Damocles' sword. See you on the next full moon.